Any instructions on what your worth is? Any destruction under the surface? Let it go.
So, I've been in a few toxic relationships myself, specifically 3, spanning from the relationship where the guy didn't want to commit because, if we're being honest, the relationship was just super lusty. And I've also been in the relationship where the guy just flat out did me dirty, and for whatever reason, I couldn't stand up for myself and correct it. And lastly, because toxic relationships aren't always romantic, I've been in a friendship with a person who used me primarily for validation, and their whole relationship was just a series of mind games as if this was Mean Girls or something. And now, before we get into it, I do want to clarify that no, this is not a routine that I'm doing on a regular basis, cutting people off like a ninja. Rather, this is an organized accumulation of the healthy steps that I've personally taken in peacefully ending a toxic relationship. So, here we go. The first step I take is creating a pros and cons list. A pros and cons list is an exercise that allows for deeper thinking, therefore guiding me to make better quality decisions overall. The reason for this is due to the emotional distance it creates. Important decisions are likely to evoke powerful emotions, so going through the act of creating a pros and cons list cultivates what researchers refer to as self-distanced perspective, which simply means that I will view my decisions as an external problem, thus soothing the impact of the emotions surrounding the decision. And if your list looks anything like mine did, the cons usually blow the pros out of the water. So, in deciding to take action to end the relationship, as you all know, I will be in constant communication with God, and the following steps will then allow me to hear His response. After I'd made my list, it's very important for me to clear my mind. So I do a very specific yoga routine by Tara Stiles, linked below, called the Clear Your Mind routine. I've used this yoga routine since high school, and it does exactly what it says it does. My mind after this routine sometimes is so clear, I forget about the very thing I wanted out of my mind. It centers me and allows for a clean slate and an open canvas for God to paint His mural of wisdom on my situation. And if I'm being honest, while in the midst of those relationships, at a certain point, I already knew what God was advising me to do. Isn't that funny? We think we have to take time to hear Him when He's warned us from the moment we met them. But the beauty in it, even if it took us 3 years or 3 months to listen to Him, He never stops speaking to us. These are the dorms that I actually lived in, and in the next clip I'm going to explain to you why this is significant. Freshman year, stayed in AI, the dorms I just showed you guys, and I was doing my summer break, I think. Yeah, I was doing summer bridge, which is like summer school program type of situation, and I distinctly remember that I was I was in my dorms, and it was nighttime, well, probably like the same time as like right now. And I remember I was just going through Twitter and just casually on Twitter and, stalking him because he was obviously like my boo at the time. And so as I'm stalking him on Twitter, I run into this girl's Twitter who had him in his bio. And like she had his name, and then she had like hearts and like a key and a lock. And I had suspicions of this girl and many others because of like what was happening on his Twitter, blah blah blah. And obviously this was a relationship where there were a lot of things that made me question his loyalty to me, and there were more than one instance where I was proven right that he was lying to me. So yeah, so I had more than enough opportunities to realize that this wasn't a relationship that I should be in, and this was like the last straw. So anywho, instead of calling him and like going off on him or trying to talk about it or asking him about it, because I knew I was gonna get a lie either way, I looked at my roommate, and we had this thing like whenever we would get stressed about something or like pissed off or whatever, we would just look at each other, and normally our advice to each other would be to take a walk. Go take a walk and go think about it. And so she told me to go and take a walk, so I do, which is the walk that I'm on right now. So I took this exact trail and I walked until I felt peace in my heart about a decision that I should make. And let me tell you, I did a lot of walking.
Sauntering through nature is vital for my ability to make sound judgments. In fact, there's a Japanese nationwide ritual called Shinrin Yoku, meaning forest therapy or forest bathing, which is a scientifically proven study that revealed that by being in the presence of trees reduces cortisol, a stress hormone, improves the ability to focus, creates a deeper and clearer intuition, increases flow of energy, and increases the capacity to communicate. All of those things I need when faced with a decision to essentially cut off someone who's been a huge part of my life. It's hard. And the trees, in their beautifully mysterious way, help soothe my soul and energize my spirit to make the right decision. I've also learned that wildfires that occur in forests are actually necessary for the health of the forest, because the fires actually stimulate new growth and stronger habitats, and some trees like eucalyptus need fire in order for their seeds to even sprout. Because the forest needs fires, parts of it has to die at some point. Sometimes we're afraid of ending a thing due to the damage it'll cause, forgetting that the fire isn't the problem. In fact, the absence of the fire is what causes the real damage.
This was the exact bench that I sat on the very first time that I had the courage to actually end things myself verbally with the guy that I was with. And this particular relationship, it was just time, because like up until this point that I was at when I was right here, it was just like lie after lie, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And so after taking a really meditative walk, I finally came to the conclusion to swallow my fears and to finally just end things. But not just ending it, not just like saying it's over, but literally saying my piece and not being afraid to say what was truly on my mind, truly on my heart, and not muffling my voice, which is one of the biggest things that I did in this particular relationship. I just muffled my own personal voice and kind of did whatever he asked me to do, and it just put me through the ringer. So I was finally to the point where I was fed up, and I feel like this bench is kind of like a monument for me. So yeah, so I just wanted to intersect this story into the overall story because, yeah, so take a walk and give yourself the grace and the space to speak your truth and to not be afraid to ask for what you want, to state what it is that you need, and to cut off whatever is no longer serving you. So I sent a message over ending things with him. And in the next clip, I'm going to explain to you exactly how I did that. Now it's time to actually end that relationship. The way that I've done this the most is via text. And the text format that I use is all stemmed from this video by Matthew Hussey. Check it out.
It seems like you need to go away and figure out what you want and be on your own for a while. And I want your happiness more than anything in the world. I just want you to be happy. So I feel like you need to go and be alone in order to figure out what you want. And I hope that I'm here, or I'm still here when you're ready. But until then, I know that I need someone who is completely in, because I wouldn't want to be with someone who isn't 100% about wanting to be with me. And then lastly, when you say to him, I want someone who is 100% in with me. I want someone who really knows what they want. That's what I deserve. That's when you show your value. Yeah. That's when you show you respect yourself. That's when you show you love yourself. You love him, but you also love yourself. Yeah. And that's why you couldn't accept anything less than someone who's sure about you.
When taking this script and adapting it to my own personal situation, I didn't just copy and paste, but I made it personal to me. It was really hard. And specifically, the time that it was the hardest was when I ended that lusty relationship. I'm being funny and calling it lusty, but I truly did care for that person. And writing this script, like literal tears were coming down my freaking face. And I know if you're watching this, you're probably going through a hard time in your relationship too. But we just have to remind ourselves, and one thing that I had to do in this particular time was to remind myself of my value and what it is that I know that I'm worth. And if the relationship isn't adding to that, then it just needs to end. As painful as that sounds and as painful as it is to do. I thought about it, and honestly, all we do is text each other about how we feel without acting on it. And I want to see and spend time with you, but energy unused is wasted. I really respect and appreciate you telling me how you feel about us, but when you say that at this moment you don't want to dive in because you don't want to disappoint me, shows me that there's still something holding you back. So I think it's best if you spend some time without speaking to me for a while to figure out what it is you truly want. I want you to be happy and secure on how you feel about what you want, so take some time alone without me to figure things out. Hopefully I'm still here when you're ready to go for it. I want someone who wants all of me, not half of me.
I can't do this. And what if I'm not good enough?
Now, after you send the message or have a conversation on the phone or in person, which I've done all three, for me, the best practices for my new growth and for committing to value myself enough to free myself from the toxicity, I implement my infamous block and delete strategy, which is simply blocking all social media accounts as well as their phone number and deleting their number, old photos, messages, whatever. The reason for this is the same reason why forests have fires. When it's time to flourish, when it's time to grow, some things will simply have to end. Love is multifaceted. It's not one thing like God. It's kind of like this analogy of, let's say that you love avocado, like me, but like me, for example, recently avocado made my eyes itch. I felt like it even gave me a sty. Like, I was just really bad reaction to avocado, but I grew up eating it almost every single day of my life. I put it on every single thing I ate, and there was nothing wrong with it, and I loved it. We had a great relationship. But there came a time where my body reacted differently to the intake of avocado. And for some people, this same allergy can be deadly. It could actually kill you. Like, some people, they could eat peanuts their whole life, and then one day they're sent to the hospital because they just grew an allergy. And I think that that's what happens with relationships that come to an end, is that, yes, the love may have been there. Yes, there were moments where the love was real, and when I told you I loved you, I meant it. But now I've gotten to a point where if I am with you, that is deadly for my soul. That is deadly for my well-being, because it just doesn't work anymore. You know, like, people grow apart, and also people can only take so much of a thing that is just not good for them, right? Because it's like, I'm not deadly allergic to avocado, but if I keep eating it on a consistent basis, it won't be good for me, and it can become deadly. And I think the same for that relationship. It was getting to a point where if I was to intake it daily, it was going to kill me. And that doesn't stop my love. It doesn't stop what was the past, the good parts from the past, but it also doesn't stop the bad parts from the past, and it doesn't stop the bad parts of what the future would be. So even though I love avocado, I love myself more. And there's sometimes in life where you have to sacrifice, and that was one of them. Well, yeah. So that's my story. I put a lot of effort into this video. I really hope it gets made. I'm tired. Bye.